This is Off Track. Yes, please mute your mic. And if you could find a way to lose the unmute button, that would be helpful. Guys, welcome to Off Track with Hinch. I was talking to Tim, of course. Welcome to Off Track with Hinch and Rossi.
Oh no, did somebody mute James's mic? Man, what a travesty.
What happened?
He just muted me because he runs the show and he's being childish.
What a piece of like look at this.
He muted you. Oh no. Oh no. In a rare instance. Oh my God, Tim, mute your guys, I'm sorry that you even tuned into this episode. Anyway, it's Tuesday. We're here with a guest, a wonderful guest. Christian Rasmussen has joined us this week. Christian, hello, and thanks for joining.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for having me.
This has been a long time coming. I actually I thought you'd already been on the show, and we were talking about it a couple events ago. And in passing, he was like, "I've never been on." I was like, "Yeah, you have." And then me, Tim, and James kind of thought about it. And we were like, "Oh, he hasn't." So then, we tried to get you on after Portland, but you were busy and stuff. And then Milwaukee happened, so we've got a lot to talk about.
It's a great time to do it.
It was great timing, but I don't want to start there because tragically, as we've just established, you've not been on the show before. And Christian, I imagine you don't listen to the show, nor should you, but an alarming amount of people do. And we've got a very, very wide-ranging and eclectic listener base on this show, some of whom got into racing because of the podcast, which I still don't understand how that path happens, but it's true. So that means that there's some people that probably don't know a ton about Christian and how he got to where he is. So I want to just go back in time a little bit, talk about the young kid growing up in Copenhagen and how you ended up. The thing for me that's always interesting is how drivers from Europe make the decision to come and try to chase the dream here in North America, which you, one of the guys that made that decision very early to kind of come the IndyCar route. So just tell us a little bit about your upbringing, how you got into the sport, and what ultimately led you to coming across to North America.
Yeah, like you said, from Copenhagen, Denmark, grew up karting, started go-karting when I was 5 years old, did 10 years of karting. 2015 was my last year of karting, won the Danish championship, the Northern European championship, and there took the decision of going into cars. Did Formula Ford in Denmark, did Formula 4 in Denmark as well, and then after that, second season in running cars in Denmark, we were kind of at a little bit of a crossroads, because then, okay, what do you do? Do you take the European route, go towards F1, try and do that, or do you figure out something else? For us, I'm out of a very normal family. My mom's a hairdresser. My dad owns a small car dealership. So we would never really have the money to go racing in Europe, really. Like we had a good investor partner in Denmark, so we could probably have gotten through like German F4, which was the biggest F4 back at that time, or Italian F4 or whatever. But then you look a couple of years down the road and you're like, well, what's the next step? Then you would go FIA F3, which at that time it was already at like over
Big
a million euros. So there was no way we could go do that. So therefore we started looking at other options, where we saw the US as a great opportunity to kind of go up through the ranks without having to bring a full budget each year. So the first thing we got to was F4, because we saw there was a scholarship to move on to F3, so we thought that was great. So we did a year of F4 with Jay Howard driver development. But then being a year in the US, you quickly realized that the road to Indy is the place to be. Moved over with Jay Howard as well to USF 2000, 2019. Came back in 2020, won the championship. Moved on to Indy Pro 2000, still with Jay. Won that championship in 2021. And then got the scholarship to move into Indy Next with Andretti. Had a dreadful year. Horrible year. But then got back into Indy Next for 2023, won that championship, and then got me into IndyCar.
So you talk about your journey over here, and budget was the kind of the roadblock to continuing in Europe. Did you grow up really watching much IndyCar racing or any racing in the States? Did you know much about it?
Not at all.
Okay.
No. No, I grew up watching Formula One with my dad, and I think had a very little recognition of what IndyCar was. I think I really started to grow my appreciation for it once I got to the States and learned what it was really all about.
Yeah, I love that you are that kind of quintessential story, right? Of proof that the road to Indy works, that when you reward success, like this is what happens. You won F2000, you won Pro 2000, you won Indy Next, you get an IndyCar ride, and you're now an IndyCar race winner. I mean, this is what this is all about, and this is why we start to see this influx of European drivers coming over. But I love the fact that you committed to it early, and you're kind of reaping the rewards for it. But so on that note, though, Indy Next is not cheap. And year one with Andretti, you were able to do it off the funding from winning the Pro 2000 championship. What funding did you find? How did you stay in the car for that second year? Because that's the big scare, right? Like as a young driver, the kind of conventional wisdom is 2 years in a championship, a year to kind of learn the cars and the tracks, and then a year to go for the championship. But with the way the system works, you kind of have to just rip off championship after championship to keep moving. At the highest, most expensive level, you have a bad year. How'd you get back in the car?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was definitely not easy. I came all the way from USF 2000, which is basically entry level open wheel, all the way up into Indy Next, which is the level right below IndyCar. All of a sudden, so it's obviously a big budget gap that needs to get close there. I had my longtime investor back home from Denmark. He's given me about $200,000 a year. And that's been his commitment since really the start, pretty much, coming to the US. That's all he could give. And we've been very lucky with that. So that's what we started with. Going into Indy Next.
I say it's just to give people the reference. An Indy Next budget in 2023 is $1.2 million.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so you're $1 million. You need about $1 million more.
Yes. So we go in with our money and we know that we don't have enough. We're kind of getting to a point where we had to commit to it because HMD Motorsports had to otherwise fill up the seat, have some time to do that. So there was a couple of deadlines over the course of the year that had to be met. One of them was to sign, which was the $200,000. Then we got to, I remember because it was around Daytona time. I was down in Florida. The next timeline had to be met. That was the signing of the engine lease, because otherwise you would have to rent engines for each of the races instead of the full year, which was way more expensive.
Right.
So last minute, we through also another investor that I've met on the state side, was committed to getting me through that next paycheck. We were down to less than 24 hours away from having to sign the lease before we got that inflection of money to continue racing. So that got me to start. We got a little bit further in, and again we're out of money. We've used up everything. We paid everything, but there's nothing left. So I think it was around St. Louis, or no, I think it was Mid Ohio first, where again we got a timeline, and you say it was a Wednesday, and the Tuesday before we didn't have the money to do it. And then again, exercising my relationships around my investors on both the US side, the Danish side, everyone kind of came together, got me through that next. next timeline. Also less than 24 hours away from again losing the ride because we couldn't afford it. And that happened one more time. Again, through a great network of people, we were able to get over the line. But yeah, 3 times that year we were less than 24 hours away from losing the ride because we couldn't afford it. So a lot of sleepless nights that year. Not only trying to manage a championship, winning a championship, which we didn't take the charge off right off the bat. But yeah, so having to manage that, getting the money and still going out and winning a championship was not easy.
I think that deserves so much credit because everyone can relate to, financial burdens at some point or another in their life and the stress and the pressure that causes. Just, it's not a fun experience. Right. And then also a lot of people can relate to the pressure of performing for your job, whether that's, a desk job and you have to meet a benchmark of criteria, or that's a sports job, or you've been on a sports team and the elements that go into that. You combine those two things and still being able to deliver in the way that you did, knowing that this is kind of your last shot, right? Like you've pieced all of these things together and it's within hours of it ending. And that even despite all that, you have to make it count because otherwise the whole thing was for nothing. You mentioned Daytona. I want to hear about kind of that must have been a big confidence boost, not only for yourself, but for the people supporting you. So if you want to walk our listeners through that and your experience in 2023 in Daytona.
Yeah, 2023 in Daytona was 2024 that we won it. 2023.
Okay.
End of 2022, when I was with Andretti, I got signed by Era Motorsports to do the Endurance Cup in the LMP2 class for 2023. So alongside doing my Indy Next and trying to afford that in 2023, what I was living off of, paying my rent and my food and whatever, was what I made on the LMP2 side. So that actually worked out pretty good. So I did the Daytona with them, started the year, did the whole endurance rounds with them. I guess they were sort of impressed with me, which got me signed for Daytona that next year, again with Era Motorsport. I got bumped from being a silver driver to a gold driver after my 2023 run with them. So I obviously couldn't be in that silver driver anymore. So I lost all the other endurance rounds, but could still do Daytona as the fourth driver. Came in with that group. Obviously know a lot of them very well through the year before. And went in with Conor Daly, Ryan Dial, and Dwight Merriman, the bronze, and one Daytona. It was cool. It was also a cool way for me to do it because I got a ton of drive time. I was one of the fastest drivers on the track. I think I ended. Some of the listeners probably know the B pillar. I was the quickest car on the B pillar the quickest driver on the B pillar after the race, and got to finish the race out. I think I did 6 out of the last 8 stints. So I did a triple and then out for a double and then a triple again at the end. So I got a lot of driving, got to really set my mark on it, got to fight a little bit with a fellow Dane at the end with in Malte Jakobsen to get over the finish. But once that last restart was done, fought him off and then came over the line and got a nice little watch out of it.
And do you wear your watch, or is it a trophy that sits on a shelf somewhere?
It actually it sits not on a shelf. I don't wear it much. I wear it sometimes if we're going out for a nice dinner or something, but you can probably count on 2 hands the amount of times that I've worn it. But no, it sits in my closet most of the time and lives there.
So that's your career through the beginning of 2024. You start off 2024 as a Daytona 24-hour winner with a Rolex. Pretty sick. Big departure from scraping by on a Tuesday, trying to meet a Wednesday deadline. You are an IndyCar driver for Ed Carpenter Racing. Not doing at the time when this when you signed with the team, you weren't doing any of the ovals except for the 500. Which has kind of been very much the status quo for ECR for a lot of years. You know, the 21 car was the full-time driver, and that had been Renus for a while. And then the 20 car was split amongst usually a young driver or a driver from Europe who would do the road and street courses, and then Ed would do the ovals. So you got the nod to do that. You obviously showed a lot of promise in 2024. That car had a lot of bad luck and had some struggles. So you got bumped up to do the ovals after what I was told was a very impressive test. Little did we know, but it was a very impressive test at Gateway. And you actually were put in the car for the last three oval races, 2 events of the season. And I just want to talk about that experience, because I think what you have accomplished on ovals this year is nothing short of exceptional. So did you know right off the bat in 2024 that really fit into your comfort level, your driving style, and you knew you could be competitive right from the beginning?
I don't. I'm always very realistic about my expectations. So going in and saying that I knew I was going to be competitive, I wouldn't say that was the way it went. On the other hand, was I confident to know that I would do an okay job? Yeah, I would say that. I've had pretty good runs on ovals my whole career. Since 2019, in 2020, I won the Freedom 75. I won the Freedom 90 the year after. I won both races or all the ovals in Indy Next in my second year. So I've had really good success on the ovals. Had a okay, decent 500 the first year. So yeah, no, I was confident, and given the test that I had at St. Louis, I thought, yeah, this is not that much different. You know, I can probably figure it out. But yeah, then and I mean, always when you get handed the keys to a race car, you take them and run, you know. So, and that was kind of the case, you know. Ed, I was sitting right over here when Ed called me one night and kind of talked through his thoughts, and obviously we had the leader circle on the line. We were right on the brink after a very unlucky season, also part of a season where, for me, kind of making those rookie mistakes and a little bit of a wrecking ball at times that first year, but which is kind of part of a first season, I feel like. But yeah, so yeah, getting handed the keys to that, having his belief in me that he thought that I could do a good job with it, and then going out on the other side and doing an okay job with it, and getting the leader circle money, which was the whole idea of doing it, was it was good. It was a good way to end the year. Also a good way to build into 2025, having some experience on the ovals before you go out for a full season.
I just want to ask quick. I mean, when drivers come over from Europe, the ovals is always the big question. And I wonder if, because you came over so early, that was kind of the big advantage compared to, say, a Lundgaard maybe, or, a Rosenquist who didn't come over until much higher levels. Because, I mean, you took to them so naturally. Those races at the end of last year were incredibly impressive. And then you go into ovals this year. Let me, but I'm just going to let the people know. Remind the people of your finishing results on ovals so far this year. 6th, 3rd, first podium of your career at Gateway. 6th, 8th, 1st. In your first full season of IndyCar, in the toughest, harder part to understand kind of racing, that has been your record. Was it just you first time you sat in a car on an oval, you were just super comfortable and ready to go? Or did you feel like there was a bit of a build up and a learning curve there?
I mean, there's always a learning curve, for sure. But I had pretty good people around me at the time, working with Jay Howard, working with Luis D'Agostino, who was my engineer at the time. So had really good people around me, which I think is a big part of getting comfortable, and getting to learn it all. But then I also think, I don't know, I think there's something natural that I just took to it pretty well. I have, I guess, little fear when it comes to driving race cars.
Clearly.
So, which I don't know. I don't know if that plays a part for other drivers. It doesn't really for me. So I guess that's part of it. Being willing to put yourself in some situations that maybe other drivers wouldn't, which I think is getting rewarded quite well on an oval.
All right, so that's a perfect segue, right, into what happened a couple days ago. You know, James went through your record this year in terms of finishing order. You had your first podium in Gateway. Had, you know, qualifying gone a bit better, and I think you still had some problems in that race in pit lane. Like, I think you caught on fire, and there was some various things. Like, Gateway very much could have been a win as well. But that was kind of, I think, everyone's first glimpse of what you're capable of, especially on a short oval, right? Like, obviously everyone saw it at Indianapolis, but it's a completely different approach and driving style. So yeah. Gateway happened. Iowa is a little bit difficult to say, just because it's so difficult to race there, as the listeners on this podcast are very aware of. So then we go to Milwaukee, where last year was a big struggle for the organization. Obviously, I can talk to that, knowing, sitting right next to you and knowing all of the things that you guys went through in 2024. So coming back in 2025, obviously the car's in a better place. You qualified like 16 spots higher than you did the previous year, starting 9th. And what you did throughout the race was good. But it wasn't until the last restart where you really set yourself apart from every single other car. And I just want the listeners to hear about your mentality, because I can talk, and I will talk on the Thursday episode. The broadcast has talked a lot about it. The media has talked a lot about it. The level of confidence that you had to kind of put the car in a window that is really not a guarantee that you're going to come out the other side. Just because there was a lot of risk that was being taken, but for you, that doesn't seem like it's the same level of risk that maybe some other drivers would associate with that. So walk us through those last 20 laps. You had fresh tires. There was 2 cars in front of you that also had new tires, but then 3 cars in front of you who were unused. Did you think at that restart, all right, this is my race to win. I've got it, and I'm just going to go do it?
No. I didn't. I again come with I think a very realistic approach to things, and kind of take it one step at a time. Not only did we have all the cars in the lead lap in front of us on that restart, but we also had a couple of cars that were a lap down. So that I think I don't know exactly, but I think I was 11th or 12th in line of cars. Yeah, and it really started earlier than that. Before the race, Woody, my engineer, and Pete, Woody, my strategist, Pete, my engineer, we were talking about that if this very specific scenario at the end happens with a late race caution, and we have an opportunity to go in and get new tires, we should take it. We were even talking about how big of a delta advantage you needed on tires for it to be worth it. It just happened to be perfectly timed and perfectly right on that delta that we were talking about. And then we took it, got out on new tires. From the couple stints before, I knew I was pretty good, even compared to other cars on new tires. being able to run the high line and being able to pass people, even other fast cars, which was obviously an advantage. So I knew I was sitting decent there for that last stint. I also knew that I was 7th in line, and being able to pass that many cars, including not only pass that many cars, but also pass the front runners of that race, was not going to be easy. But just took it a little bit at a time. Passed, I think Lundgaard was the first one. Then Pato, he came back on me, and then I got him back. So we had a pretty good battle there. Couple overlappers. Got by you. Got by McLaughlin. Joseph as well. Yeah.
And then at that point, Palou had a little bit of an advantage. Like he had a couple second
like
lead that you had to close
gap,
down.
2.5.
Yeah. And then, all of a sudden I was sitting in second, and I was like, that's a pretty good day already. That's just, obviously had the tire advantage, was chasing him down, had really good pace compared to him. But I also didn't know, because we all know Alex, he takes very well care of his tires, something there. So you don't really know how long that tire advantage is going to last for. So I just thought I would get up to him and see what I had when I got there. But also knew that if I did get there, I probably need to get it done quick before that most of that tire advantage is gone. Got up to him, did the same move that I had done previous, running the high line, ran the high line out of turn 2, got a good run. He went to defend the inside into 3, rolled the outside, side by side through 3 and 4, with a little love tap at the exit of 4, and then rolled a lot of speed into turn 1 to clear him, and then off we went.
So, congratulations. Yeah. Alex, you had a little love tap with Joseph there too.
Yeah, we'll talk about it,
dude. I was more worried about, I forget who it was, some lap car you were going around on the exit of Rosenquist. 2 with like 4 to go, and I'm like, whoa, my God, you put a lot of faith in other people right now.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, again, talking about that tire advantage, I didn't know how long that was going to last for. I didn't feel safe with having Alex Palou as the car behind me.
Totally fair.
And I passed one car, which I think he followed as well, so he was still behind me. So I thought, okay, well, then I got to pass another one, which I did. And then I think that was Rosenquist. Got by him, and then I was like, well, one car, is that really enough to feel safe? No, it's not.
I think everybody in the broadcast became Wheeler at that point. Your spotter just like, hey, you could take it a little easier.
Yeah.
You could
and I think most of that came from, I saw how quickly Alex got by that first car as well. So there was no guarantee that he wasn't just going to do the same thing. So I got past one more car, which was Louis. That put 2 cars behind or between us. I could see he wasn't really moving up, and then once I got up to Stingray, I thought we're sitting pretty good here with four laps to go or whatever it was, and roll it to the finish.
Great drive, man.
I know.
Great drive.
I know your time is limited because you're going on a lot of other podcasts today, and one of my favorite things, because I texted James about this even during the race. The winner of the races goes on Speed Street with Conor Daly, and we love Conor here, big friend of the show, probably our most often
frequent guest,
or frequent guest. That's the word I was looking for. Do you want to go into that? I mean, are there going to be any fireworks with you talking to Conor? Because obviously you guys got into it a little bit in Portland.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's much to go into. We had our thing at Portland. To me, that's a long time ago already. We obviously didn't agree on the matter. We talked things through. We met. It was very civil. Talked things through,
but you left still not agreeing on the matter.
Still not agreeing on the matter, and I think we probably never will. Which is fine. That's part of racing. You as a driver always think you are right, and that's talking for the both of us. So I get that. But no, I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll meet, we'll talk. If it'll come up, it'll come up. I doubt it will, but I guess we'll see. But
I'm going to be listening.
I had Conor. He was starting right in front of me, so I had him right behind me at the driver's intros. Turned around, gave him knuckles, asked about his foot. We're all good. So yeah.
Listen, it's that was a big topic of conversation. A lot of opinions float around on the internet after that. The best thing that anyone can do in that situation is go out and beat everyone the next race, doing the exact same thing that you were doing in Portland. And that's your style, and that's what you've become known for. So everyone, I think, is blown away. So keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you this weekend.
This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.